Risa, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to be here as well and excited to chat with you. You've said, know who you are and focus there. What did it take for you to really learn that about yourself as a business owner?
Yeah. And it's funny. It's not that I was spread too thin because I wasn't focusing. Rather, it was the opposite. I was losing business because I wasn't focused. I didn't articulate what I stood for, who I served, why you would want to hire me. And I was losing business, I realized, to other companies who were very clear, very focused on what they did. So once I started branding myself and being able to articulate why they would want to hire me as a coach as opposed to somebody else, and that I served small businesses and nonprofits, and that's what I was passionate about, I was able to connect with prospective clients better, and they were able to say, that's who I want to hire because they get me.
How did you discover that about yourself?
That's who I wanted to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always like giving and doing more for my community. And although there are great opportunities in large organizations, your impact is much smaller. And I love being able to see the impact that I can have, where in large organizations, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of leaders, and there may be waste. There may be some who can kind of hide and get away with not being as productive as they could be. But in small organizations and in nonprofits, every leader counts. So if I work with one leader, I can literally help them to improve their bottom line. I can help them to serve their community better. And it is very fulfilling for me to know that I can make a huge impact with a small business as opposed to a medium impact at someplace larger.
Yes, every big company has a cause, but the bottom line, what drives the decisions there.
Right, right. And to know that I'm helping a leader in a nonprofit, I'm helping them to be able to serve their cause better. I mean, there's nothing more fulfilling than that.
You made a conscious decision to leave a traditional full-time role, right? What trade-off did you knowingly accept when you prioritized flexibility and family?
I think the obvious answer is security. When you're working for yourself, there are going to be peaks and valleys, and you have to be willing to live in those troughs sometime and just keep working to get back to the peak. So yes, that was part of it. But I think for me in particular, it was being willing to not only do the work, but get the work, which I never had to do when I was working internally. And what I mean by that is in corporate, when I worked on HR teams, learning teams, organizational development teams, we had internal clients coming to us all the time. They couldn't get enough workshops, coaching, OD interventions. I never had to go out and solicit myself or my work. I knew that when I went out on my own, I would have to do that. I would have to not only do the work that I loved, but I would also have to very mindfully go out and get the work. And this was scary because that is not my skill set. I am not a salesperson. Also, I wanted to do the work. I didn't want to take the time to go out and get the work also. So I have had to get more comfortable and to learn how to go out and get the work and also balance my time. And it's hard when you're busy doing the work. It's great when you're busy and you have your own business, you want that, right?
Yeah.
But you also have to make time to get the work, which you don't have to do, which
Yeah.
I didn't have to do internally. And it's funny, when I worked internally, the slow times were great, but slow times are not as good when you have your own business. So
Yeah. It's
it was,
interesting. I always struggled, especially when I had my own business, is to allocating that shut off time and be with my family, and it took me a while to even be present with my wife. It took me a while to develop that can wait type of piece. And for me personally, that was a big self discovery. And I certainly came out every time I had that period where I just reflect and be with my family. I always came back fresh. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. You need those breaks.
Yeah, yeah. And I see no matter what business you start, whether it's in your industry or anything else, right? Or even the corporate world, like sometimes I see a lot of executives tend to email back and forth majority of time during like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. time frame. And I don't know if it's healthy sometimes. I get it, you got to catch up on the work, but at what point do you know, like, okay, is the question I need to step back? Is the problem I'm not being productive during 8 hours in my work? Or I'm just maybe not, I'm taking more than I'm supposed to be taking and I should delegate something, right?
Yeah, yes, that is very real. And what I like to say to leaders is, look, it's going to happen. When you're a leader, you can't expect to work from 9 to 5 every day. There are going to be busy times. The thing is, you want that to be the exception rather than the rule. And then you are less likely to get burnt out. You're less likely to impact your family when you know that it's going to happen, but it's not going to be all the time. You don't want to get into that habit where
Yeah.
every night you're logging on, because that's just going to become an endless cycle for you. And it's not healthy for you or for your family.
Yeah. Speaking of that, right? Like you often said that you are an adult expert, learning expert, right? Not an industry expert. Why is that distinction so important for leaders and entrepreneurs?
Well, I think the key for leaders and entrepreneurs is to be very clear on what your area of expertise is, no matter what it is and what it's not. So
Mm,
I am a coach. I am not a consultant. And what I mean by that is I specialize in understanding how adults learn. I understand human behavior. I am not an industry expert. If you are in, I don't know, food and beverage, hire a consultant to help you to learn about what's on the horizon for your industry, what the challenges are going to be in your industry. I do the people end of things, helping you to build relationships, helping you to understand how to be empathetic. That is industry agnostic. No matter what industry you're in, you need to be able to work with other people. If you're a leader, you need to be able to lead your team. So for any leader, it's important to know what you're good at and what you're not, and be able to articulate that. So if someone is looking for consulting in their industry, I'm not that person, but I am the one who can help you with those soft skills, those people skills that you need as a leader.
A lot of people wonder, well, what is the most important skill you can develop as an entrepreneur or as an effective corporate leader? And a lot of people just focus on developing a skill in a knowledge in the industry, in the technology, in what they do, right? And I feel like so many leaders or so many entrepreneurs don't really take time to hone in their people skills, their management of people, their understanding of people. Can you talk about why an entrepreneur or a leader has the ability to influence somebody in their network should prioritize what I just said is the people aspect?
Particularly leaders or entrepreneurs who are busy, you need to be able to work with other people. You can't do everything yourself, and you need to motivate other people around you. If you don't have people skills, no one is going to want to go above and beyond to help you, to support you. So if you are busy, you need those people skills so that you don't get burnt out. So I will tell you that in the last year, the two topics that I have coached on most are empathetic leadership and delegation. And I don't pick the topics. It's my coaching clients who come to me and say, this is what I need to work on. And I mention those two topics, delegation and empathetic leadership, because they're related to the question that you were asking. Leaders, entrepreneurs are so busy, they need help either passing off the work to others or getting the most out of those who work with them. So, empathetic leadership is all about being kind, being understanding. In the words of the amazing Brene Brown, she says, empathy is working is feeling with people. And if you don't take the time to be kind, be understanding, to put yourself in other people's shoes, they are not going to be motivated to go above and beyond for you. So when you are busy and your team is busy and
Yeah.
you need them to step up, if you are not being understanding and kind and empathetic, they are not going to do what you would like them to. They are not going to be the most productive. They are not going to be motivated. So, on top of it being the right thing to do to be kind, empathetic toward others, if you want to get more out of the people who work for you, you need to demonstrate these people skills, the empathy, so that they are more willing to support and help you. And delegating as well, it's you need to understand how to work through people, and sometimes it's a control issue, sometimes it's not knowing how to do it. But if you can't have other people work with you to take some of your load off, you are going to be overwhelmed, overburdened, and a misery to work with.
What does that mean, working through people?
It means not taking everything on yourself. It means having people, whether they report to you or not, it may be people you influence who you don't have a direct reporting relationship with. It means utilizing the people who work with you, beside you, for you, to get the overall work done in support of the organization, in support of your clients. You cannot do everything alone. By working through people, you are a team and you are leveraging each other's strengths. When someone else is busy, you can pass it off to somebody else. And you're trying to create the greatest outcome you can, not alone, but working through and with other people to do that. And you need people skills to be able to do that.
What is your rule of thumb as far as if they gotta do this percentage of the job correctly, as good as I am, where would you feel comfortable as a leader? Be like, yep, okay, I'm replicating myself.
You mean delegating? How good do
Yeah,
they have to be for them to do the work?
absolutely. Yes.
Well, a couple of things come to mind. First of all, it depends on the impact of that particular work. So, for example, let's say you are a team leader and you create the agenda for your team meetings every week. Let's say you say, you know what, I'm going to delegate that to somebody on my team so I don't have to do it. Do they have to replicate it the way you do? No, it's low impact, right? If they do it differently and it's not that great, okay, you know what? You learn from it, they learn from it. Maybe they do it better next time. Maybe you say, I'm not going to give it to them next time. But it's low impact, so it doesn't really matter that it wasn't done to your standards. However, let's say you were asked to develop a presentation for the CEO of a prospective client. If you're going to delegate it, you really need to be careful who you delegate that to, because it is higher impact, higher visibility. So I'm going to say it depends. The other thing is so many factors, but it depends how busy you are, right? If you absolutely cannot do it and someone else does a fine job, but it means you didn't have to do it, if it's not a high impact, sometimes you also delegate as a learning opportunity for somebody else, and they may do it a different way. But you know what? It may actually be a better way. It may be
Right.
more productive than your way. So I wouldn't say it's quite that black and white as how well they can replicate it. There are a number of other factors to consider.
With obviously the biggest one being is what depends on the impact of the task, right? Like you gave that example. Absolutely. Yeah. In small organizations, one under even one underperforming leader can have a big ripple effect. What leadership challenges do you see most often outside of the delegating piece? I know we
Yeah,
talked a lot on delegation.
I'd go back to the empathy piece. Like I said, that's
No
one of
kidding.
the most common things
No
that
kidding.
people come to me for is they don't know how to build relationships with the people that they work with. And I'll give you a specific example. I was coaching someone and he said, I was talking to him about empathy to get his team to build trust with him, to get them to do a little bit more. And he said, "I don't understand. Why do I have to be nice to them? They get paid to work here." True story. And I said, "Well, do you want them to do more than the minimum?" "Yes." "Okay. Well, if you want them to do more than the minimum, you need to do more than the minimum." And the old leadership or managing theories of old where, you do as I say, that doesn't work anymore. People will leave. They will be unproductive. They will post about it. If you want people to really buy in to what your team is doing, to want to do more, to elevate what they're doing and what the team is doing, you need to build those people skills. Be empathetic toward them. If they are having something going on outside of work, maybe they need to leave early one day, and that's okay. And in the end, they will give it back to you. When you show kindness to somebody else, they will put in more for you and they will be kind to you as well. And I know for some people, that is a shift in how they think, that
100%.
doesn't belong in the workplace. But as busy as people are, you cannot just say, do this or else you will not get what you need out of your team.
I recently had a story shared with me by a friend of mine who got an offered a position at a different company doing same thing, same job performance, right? For I think $30,000 more. And let's be honest, in this economy, it's a big shift in any family's bottom line, right? I asked him, "What did you decide to do?" He said, "I stayed with the company." I'm like, "Why is that?" And he said that I just couldn't find any other environments or any other individuals that treated me like my current boss did. And he was very understanding. He was very empathetic to my personal life. And he said, I just felt like I could truly shine there. And it gave me a more motivation to do more at my job. And he's just got promoted recently to a leadership role. The individuals that will take company from people to 100 people are the ones who not only know how to delegate, but know how to bring out the best out of other people. And in today's environment, it's so competitive. It's competition and environment, how you can bring out the best
Culture.
out of you. Culture. It's that culture piece. How good of a culture that you have. And I can see how all these 40, 50, 60-year-olds that are currently in a leadership role that grew up in that do as I say environment, struggling,
They do.
struggling to keep talent.
Yeah. But I think that's such a great story that you shared. And my guess is that now that he's been promoted to a leadership position, because of the role model that he had and how positive that culture was on him, he's probably going to be a very effective leader and have great people skills. I mean, it definitely ripples down through
Yeah.
the organization.
But it takes somebody who understands this or somebody been introduced to this type of thought process to recognize the value in an employee who understands that or entrepreneur who understands that.
Also, say it's a generational thing. Younger
Interesting.
generations are looking, and there's a lot of data around this actually, that they are looking for empathy in the workplace. Where if you
No
ask
way.
someone who's, 50, 60, they are not looking for that in the workplace. That was not part of the culture when they were growing up in their careers, but that is what they want. These younger uh, employees and now moving into leadership, they are looking for that. So if you want to keep them and you want to keep them motivated, it behooves you as their manager, their leader, their boss to demonstrate empathy because they will respond to that.
Where do you think AI genuinely helps leaders and where does it kind of fall short?
Yes. So I get this question a lot. So I think it helps with tactical things like taking notes in meetings, summarizing notes, creating an outline for an email, a presentation, things like that. So helpful, great time saver. It does not replace human behavior, however. So let me give you an example. And this is something that I saw online recently with somebody who posted that they created a weight loss plan using AI. And they posted the plan and it was amazing. What to eat, when to eat, recipes, when to workout routines, very tactical, very detailed. I started thinking, what happens when the person comes home, they had a terrible day at work, or they had a fight with their partner, and they want to cheat, or they don't want to work out?
That's
Yeah,
funny.
they can plug into AI, I'm having a hard time. And AI may say, that sounds hard. It's true. I've seen that before. It does. That sounds hard. And it will give you some tips. However, instead, let's say you call your best friend and you say, I had such a bad day. I want to cheat. And your best friend says, I will come over. I will cook a healthy dinner with you. We'll work out together. I'll give you a hug. I've seen you over the course of our relationship accomplish great things. Here are examples where I have seen you achieve. You can do this. I have faith in you. AI can't do that.
Did not do that.
So in the workplace, a leader as a human, yeah, maybe you're not going to reach out and give someone a hug, but you can give positive feedback like, I have seen you achieve in the past. I know this is hard, but I have confidence in you. I am here for you. A machine can't do that. When you're talking to someone on your team and you see them looking, either they're crying, which I've experienced with people I coach, or you see them rolling their eyes, you can comment on that. Like, you were engaged before, now I see you're leaning back, you're not really into it. What's changed? What's going on? AI won't pick up on that.
If you could give one piece of advice to a founder or a consultant who feels stretched thin, what would that be?
Remember that done is better than perfect. Perfectionism will kill you. It will waste your time, and it will never make you feel good about yourself. You will never achieve being perfect. So do 80%, feel good about it, and move on. You do not have time to be perfect.